Greetings, dear one. We are a collective consciousness, a vibration that is accessible to all those who focus outside of their current realm of vibration, namely the earth plane of the third dimension. We come at this time in your time-space reality to introduce you to yourself. We are here to open many doorways and to enlighten all who are willing, able, and desirous of this transformation. We have come at different levels throughout the years, and now, as your planet journeys through a shift that will complete with what you have called the New Earth, we stand by you and guide you to the new phase of humanity. It is a phase of love at a higher vibration than has ever been available to our Earth friends. And we know it is something that will be accomplished, but not over time as you know it, but as we know it. Time is something that is not real to us, for we are universal beings who live outside the constructs of time. We live outside the rules of the human body and outside of the laws and old way of doing things on your planet. We will discuss many of those old ways in this teaching, and we ask you to simply be aware and observant of your surroundings as we demonstrate the new human to you. We know there are many who are not yet willing or able vibrationally to take on this message. However, you must know that all will eventually come around, but again, not on your time, but in our timing, which is based on vibration. It is based on the vibration of desire and asking for a better world in which to prosper, meaning living lives of abundance. And this is abundance of peace, of joy, and of love. As we walk through this message, we will delve into many things that will be new to you. We simply ask that you open your mind and intend to expand your own vibration, which will allow the new ways and the new information to resonate. It will or it won't. Either way, it is available now to all those who are looking for change. Your world, as you know it now, was not meant to be a place of disarray. It was not meant to be a place of war or dissolve. It was not meant to be a place of destruction and dismay. It was meant to be a place of joy, where the human physical experience would be one of expansion of love and opportunity for oneness. This is what is available today for all who are seeking it. We have come along with you, our friends, for we are you and you are us. We are where your souls abide. We are where your love, the love that you feel and desire, is. We are your guidance. Our partner Cindy said to us the other day, "This world is a difficult place to navigate without higher guidance." And she was right. This is one reason for all the chaos that currently surrounds you, and we are here to help and to assist in the moving away from the dense vibrations of fear and into the light vibrations of love, one step at a time. Our mission at this time is to inform and to bring information that your planet is now ready to receive. There have been many, many teachers who have come and gone from your planet over the eons that humans have existed. There are many, many, many teachers who are there now teaching and guiding, all for one purpose, which is the love for each other, the love of humanity as a whole, and the love of self, which is where it all begins. We welcome you with open arms, and we say congratulations for your decision to rise to this very auspicious occasion, which is the growth, protection, and expansion of the love of humanity. We thank you for your time and attention as we walk through this door together. Our mission is one of light, of love, of peace and joy, and we are so very glad that you are here. We are Joseph. Hi everybody, Cindy Edison here. Welcome to the Teachings of Joseph. Ooh, in this podcast, here we go. This is going to be fun. I'm going to be giving you an overview of the first few segments of Book 1 of the Allow Your Soul to Lead series. This 4-book series introduces Joseph to us. This is the purpose of this series. They represent for us collectively our higher selves, meaning my soul is with the consciousness of Joseph. We call it the soul. Esther calls it the inner being. Some people refer to it as the higher self. It is the future of us, the expanded us, if you will. And we all have our own Josephs. Like Abraham is Esther's Joseph. Seth was Jane's Joseph. You have your own Joseph. Everybody has their own Joseph. And we are all able to communicate. This is an innate translating ability. It is an innate communication that we have with who we really are. It is our communication with the universe. So, it's going to be cool. Anyway, there's going to be 3 podcasts for each book. And that will allow for some discussion, some explanation, and for some examples that will apply to the teaching. A lot of these teachings came from experiences that I had. They always said from the beginning, Cindy, you have to experience it before you can teach it. Frankly, I'm waiting for all the good stuff to start. I'm kidding. It's been really fun, and it's been quite a ride, and I am the proverbial guinea pig for them. Anyway, you just heard the welcome letter that was dictated by Joseph to open us up to the first book. And they describe in there where they're leading us. And this is the pathway to the new earth. On this pathway, we're not only assisting in the creation of, the new earth, but we're also morphing into the new human aspect who will inhabit the new earth. Obviously, we can't go there like this. We don't get there with any fear at all. So we need to move beyond the realm of fear and begin creating from the realm of love, which is where they are. So Joseph represents for us the non-physical vibration of the new earth, which means it's really ready to be physically manifested. All you expert manifestors out there know that all manifestations are non-physical first, and when the physical vibration is in agreement, the physical manifestation happens. That is the universal process in a nutshell, and it's how we will assist in the manifestation of the new earth. We are co-creating this thing, and we are creating it through our desire to live a more abundant life of peace and joy and love and all that good stuff. The missing component now is the physical vibration, which is supplied by us, the human collective. In order for the physical human aspect to exist on the new earth, to live there, we must move beyond the realm of fear where we've been hanging out for eons of time. Think about it. We have never been at this position vibrationally before. And this is all happens through the process of natural evolution. So this is why Joseph tells us that they are the evolved consciousness of Seth and Abraham. They are demonstrating that to us through that teaching of how evolving works and how this message has evolved from when Jane began back in the 60s, back in the 1960s. So this, and before then, the consciousness itself is expanding. And as the consciousness expands, everything within it expands too. And we are part of that. So the purpose of this series is to assist us in understanding how to move beyond the realm of fear by choosing from a different realm. There is no fear on the new earth. This consciousness is of pure positive love. This is part of the shift in consciousness that we're all experiencing now. Our shift, the human collective shift, is one of expansion. Joseph said to me early on, Cindy, you must expand your awareness to include us. which means I needed to expand beyond my limits of understanding in order to hear them more clearly and to access this particular information. This is an exempling of channeling. We are exhibiting the communication between the soul and the human aspect, which we will all be participating in. Many are now, and all are, because we will live in this oneness on the New Earth platform. And the process of channeling, it has evolved too over the course of eons. I mean, it evolves with us because it is part of us. Being able to communicate with your higher self is part of who you are. So this is not anything special, as they say, outside the specialness of who we are. It is just part of our makeup. So the soul and the human aspect will be participating together and co-creating on the new earth. So we need to have a broader understanding of who we are, who we really are, the more of us, if you will, in order to create this thing. And as we're creating that thing that I refer to, the new earth, we are creating the new us. So it's really cool. It's a really cool journey we're about to get on here. So in the prelude, when they begin the prelude to the work, Joseph tells us why they chose the name of Joseph, and it was really as a favor to us. And the only purpose is for its familiarity, and so that we have something to call them. As humans, we love labeling things. And once you put a label on something, you can sometimes visualize it or sometimes judge it. And we certainly are moving away from that, but we are still humans and we communicate by words. And so Joseph picks the word of Joseph. And the judging of our labels, that gets us into trouble sometimes. Anyway, Joseph tells us in the prelude that they are the collective consciousness and the evolutionary vibration of the consciousness known as Seth, who was channeled by Jane Roberts, and Abraham, who is channeled by Esther Hicks. Overall, we've been well received so far, given this information. They tell us, that they're looking at this expansion as from the viewpoint of the bigger picture, as if they were hovering, and I guess they kind of are, above the earth, and they're seeing with the bird's eye view. So, and that's how they want us to see too. They're coaching us toward this whole shift in perspective. So they begin to lay out for us the groundwork for this message, which is the offering of new terms, new definitions, new understandings, and of course, new perspectives. As we humans evolve and expand our own individual awareness, new understandings are available for us to continue to move forward. That's how we expand, by learning more, right? If you look back at your own history, you'll see your own evolution of understanding and how your beliefs and perspectives have perhaps changed as you experience more life. As you experience more of anything, more opportunity for understanding is revealed. And of course, that means us too. Okay, so the more we expand toward more of who we really are, more of who we really are is revealed. They said to me one time, Cindy, we'll never give you more than you are able to understand, because through understanding comes expansion. In my case, and I think I'm going to speak for all of us now, through our physical experience of something comes the understanding, and through that understanding, we evolve and expand. I love that so much. So let's move into their glossary of terms. Because we tend to sometimes make up our own meaning of certain words, and there are so many meanings for so many words, and hence all the translations of the Bible, right? Because when you translate something, it's different. Two people could have the same experience in the same car and see it totally differently. They're going to experience it totally differently. So they're going to give us a few terms here that they use throughout this teaching, and they want you to know where they're coming from. So let's look at these, the terms. I mean, this is like the definition of God. How do you define God? You know, everybody defines God differently. Well, for Joseph, God is defined as the all of everything. Everything is an aspect of God, which means, oh, by the way, that every piece of God has the same power as God. We liken this to a pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie has a lot of ingredients, but you can't see any of them individually. Maybe some nutmeg here and there, but you can't really see them individually, and it doesn't matter how thin you slice a piece of that pie. If you take one bite on the edge of a spoon, it tastes the same as if you ate the entire thing. So it has all the same ingredients packed into that little tiny bite. So this is their definition of God, okay? The all of everything. The soul is part of the collective soul of God. It is how everything is connected as the one. In essence, it is the God within you Jesus refers to. When he says the kingdom of God is within you, it is your soul, which is the consciousness of God. It's the non-physical consciousness of you that is God. It manifests as pure light, and it consists of just pure love. It has one overall purpose, which is to benefit itself by expanding itself, therefore expanding the all simultaneously. So selfish in that respect is, I'm benefiting everybody, so I'm going to do this the best way I can. And this is the perspective that that this teaching comes from. It's fabulous. The ego, on the other hand, has gotten such a bad rap. I'm telling you, this drives me crazy when I hear people blaming the ego, and I say, stop, you're just creating more fear. That's the last thing I need, is somebody to tell me that there's something outside of me that's causing me to do something I'm not in control of. I mean, think about it. That's what the current ego teaching is. And of course, that teaching is derived from a vibration of fear. And it manifests as fear. And it manifests as blaming and judging and all those things. And everything lumped into one says, oh, it's the ego's fault. So Joseph gives us their perspective of the ego, which is an aspect of them. The ego is an aspect of our soul and an aspect of us, which means it was conjured in and created from love. The ego is what I like to say, the balancing act, if you will, for the soul in the third dimension. The soul doesn't mess around in the fear vibration, if you haven't noticed that yet. That's why everything goes wrong over there, right? So the soul doesn't mess around over there, but the ego comes with us to guide us through the contrast. And they do that, our egos do that, by indicating for us through negative emotion when we are choosing thoughts that are out of alignment with the soul, that ultimately will manifest in out of alignment situations and circumstances that we are not going to like very much. And sometimes, we get so caught up in the momentum of those thoughts, the fear-based thoughts, that we feel like we're in a hurricane or a tornado, and it won't stop. And it won't stop until you shift and expand yourself beyond the fear realm where all of that is created. So the ego is a great teaching. We will get into that more because this book is called The Soul's Perspective of the Ego. This is a huge thing because I still hear spiritual teachers, wonderful teachers that I've been following for a long time, teaching that the ego is this, horrible entity, and it's just not. It's just not. And when you take on that teaching, this teaching that Joseph offers us, you will feel immediate relief, and you will start to shift your perspective to one of love. Okay, so consciousness. Consciousness, I'm just going to read this last little paragraph because consciousness is a big subject, as we all know. But let me just read this. This is their boiled down version. Consciousness is a term that is not easily understood by the human mind, but for the purpose of this work, we will offer you this understanding. Consciousness is the ever-expanding mind of God. It is, in a word, awareness. So this is why we say when we're expanding our consciousness, we're expanding our awareness of who we are. And as we expand, who we are gets bigger. It just never ends. This is a never-ending journey. So relax and enjoy it. Okay, so vibration, one of my favorite words. All universal elements are energy. The manifestation of the energy is physical vibration. This is what is felt and seen and is what moves the universe. I love that. It is what causes change. A shift in vibration causes change. Every vibration manifests differently. So think of, they say vibration is what brings and creates manifestation of all things. Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. This is universal stuff. All based on universal laws, or as Josef calls them, universal truths, because they say, we don't really like the word law because it implies you can't do something. They're adorable. Okay, so momentum. Oh, I love momentum too. Momentum is movement of the energy. Momentum is what carries that vibration to manifestation. They likened it in this book to a boulder rolling downhill. So if you're standing on the top of a mountain and you push a boulder, and the boulder starts out maybe being 3 or 4 feet wide, and it is going down as it gains momentum going down that slope, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Because it's collecting like elements to itself on the way down. So it gets bigger and bigger and goes faster and faster, and it manifests more of itself. So when you get a momentum going behind a line of thinking from these thoughts you're choosing, hopefully from the loving vibration, the momentum is what causes the manifestation. And this is what the answer to a question that is often asked: when will it happen? When can I expect it? When will I see it? When is it going to be? When? This is the answer to that question. And the answer is when the momentum is in vibrational agreement with the desire. Okay? When the pure momentum is as pure as the desire, and which is creating the pure vibration, then you will have manifestation. And the good thing is, or maybe some of you will say, well, that's a bad thing. It's all in your control. You control your vibration in every single moment. Nobody can affect your vibration unless you shift your perspective and get in the fear vibration with that belief. Just doesn't happen. Okay, so timelines. Oh, there are unlimited universal timelines, all vibrationally based. Each vibration exists on its own timeline. So when I was first learning about this, Josef gave me a visual. I have to see things. So they gave me this bird's eye view of Atlanta that has a huge highway system. You can, if you know what New York, if you've ever flown into New York, wow, it's cool. And so if I have this bird's eye view of looking at the Atlanta highway system, and there are unlimited roads, and there's bridges and people going through tunnels and all these. So I picture it from that, and it was like neon lit up timelines. It was the coolest thing. And they said, this is kind of what it looks like, and all on different vibrations, all going in different directions, and all manifesting different results. So that's a timeline. We'll learn more about that as the text unfolds. Let's talk about aspects for a minute. So your soul has many, many aspects of itself because the soul is an aspect of God, right? So collective souls are collective aspects of God. We are an aspect of our soul, which is an aspect of God. So we are an aspect of God, okay? It's the A plus B equals C, does A equal yes. It's that whole kind of thing we learned back in grade school. So we are the human aspect, the physical aspect of our non-physical soul, and we have lived many, many physical lifetimes, some longer in years than others. However, the length of the physical life is not a component to the soul's experience. I'm going to say that again. The length of the physical life, regardless of how long it is not a component to the soul's experience in the physical world, because the soul is driven by purpose. The soul is driven by purpose and by vibrational agreement, which are events. The soul's journey is event-driven, not driven by a clock. There's no time frame, because the time frame from the soul's perspective is eternity. Your time frame is eternity. So we've all lived many, many physical lifetimes. And I'll tell you that when I started to do this work, I fell into mediumship work. I never tried to do it. I never wanted to do it. I didn't not want to do it. It just never occurred to me. But as it turns out, they told me then several years ago when it all started, and all of a sudden I had this new awareness of my ability to communicate with what Abraham refers to as the dead people, I should say Esther refers to as the dead people, because they're not dead. It's energy, their vibration, and they are the aspects of their souls communicating. And I have to tell you that when I started communicating with them and found the joy in that vibration, it was amazing to me, and it shifted my understanding of more of who we are through understanding more of who I am. Speaking to them, once you know the vibrational language, and once you can speak the vibrational language, and you just have to believe that you can, and listen, and your soul will coach you. And once you do that, you will experience a whole new world. It's just amazing. So these aspects of us, let's talk about the human aspects of the human aspect for a minute. All the lifetimes you've lived, all of those aspects are still vibrationally moving. They're vibrationally living. There is no death in universal language. There's no death of anything. Everything just transforms because everything is energy. So all these lives that we've lived are bouncing around, they're vibrationally active on other timelines. And this particular, I'm going to get ahead of myself, but I have to keep going. This particular lifetime that we have chosen to be here at this time during this shift, and all of you who are listening to this are way showers. You are all teachers of this particular teaching, actually all the teaching. But we, as Josef calls us, are the captains of our individual human aspect group. So let me give you a visual on this. When they told me that, I pictured myself as my physical being now, and I also pictured several, I don't think I even counted them, several like light bodies, aspects, all standing up at the same time, asking for expansion. And that expansion comes through me as their kind of human representative this time around, right? Because we have expanded. I mean, think about it. 100 years ago, if you were here 100 years ago, I was here thousands of years ago. Think about the expansion of the human aspect in that time frame. Okay, time frame for us, but event driven by the soul's perspective, right? So I see all these light bodies, and Joseph saying, now expand them forward, which means all the fear that has been gathered up and hanging out in all those aspects that we have lived, that I have lived through them and they through me, is still present in my current vibration. So my job and your job and our collective job is to do this, expand ourselves and expand our own aspects. And as we do that, we example that for those who are coming behind us. We are way showers, and we are showing how to expand the current human, individual, and collective beyond the realm of fear, so we can create the new earth from love where it is sitting, waiting for us to get there. Waiting for us to get there. It's really cool. So let's talk about perspective for a minute. Let's shift away from the glossary. I think we got most of it. Let's talk about perspective. So perspective calls, Josef refers to the word perspective as a point of view. Sometimes that point of view can be a belief, depends on how much you believe it, I guess. But your point of view can be shifted and can be changed based on your awareness of what you're looking at. Okay, so the interesting thing about perspective is that when you change it, you get a different outcome, of course, because different perspectives have different vibrations, so they manifest differently. So if you shift your perspective, you shift your physical reality that you're living. So in order for us to move beyond the realm of fear and stop choosing and creating and manifesting from that space, we need to shift our perspective to the perspective of the soul and create the new reality that comes with that shift. And that new reality is the new earth and the new human, by the way, a whole new species we're creating here. This is exciting stuff. So along with the shift in perspective, the momentum, of course, shifts too. It changes direction to accommodate the shift in perspective. It's like looking at two pathways. Okay, so if you're creating from the realm of fear, choosing thoughts from fear, your momentum is created by that perspective from the vibration of fear, and the momentum moves the energy toward more of that same energy, right? Law of attraction, attracting more of the same vibrational thoughts that ultimately manifest fearful situations and circumstances, because that's the direction you are moving your momentum in by choosing those thoughts. And as you choose those thoughts, the law of attraction gives you more thoughts to choose from, because that's the pathway you're on, and that's what's available on that pathway. It's like if you go to New York City and walk down Fifth Avenue, that pathway is made up of all those stores, right? And if you go out in the woods somewhere and walk on a different pathway, you're aware of different offerings, right? So it's if you shift your perspective, it's really cool. You cannot create in alignment manifestations from an out of alignment position, which is why your perspective counts so much, and because that's where you're creating from, right? So let's talk specifically about the soul's perspective for a minute. Josef gives us a tidy list of these to consider, and some of them are they're direct contradiction to most of the ones we have now, right? So because we're building from fear, so most of our perspective collectively, I'm saying this in general terms, collectively speaking, we are living, look what we're creating. Look at the chaos that's out there now. Look at the chaos. Here we are in June of 2020, and look at this, and it's just bouldering down that hill, bouldering. So we need a big shift here to move away from that and allow that to happen, not judge it, but just create something else for yourself. Because even though that's going on over there, you don't have to experience it, because you are in control of your own creating of your own reality, and that's choosing of your own thoughts. So the soul's perspective is based in love, obviously. So here's this list. Let me give you some of these. I'll take it kind of slow. From the soul's perspective, there is only now. There's only now, and that has to do with those timelines we were talking about before. Everything is created in the now, which is why your momentum is so important, because right now you're creating your next now and your next now. So it's, you have to be aware of what you're doing. There is no linear time. There is only eternal timing. And eternal timing is based on vibrational agreement. Vibrational agreement. And those vibrational agreements are the events that move you along your journey. There is no place to get to from the soul's perspective, of course, because you're always right exactly where you should be, and you're always exactly where you are because of the vibration you are choosing. I'm going to say that again. You are exactly where you're supposed to be because you are choosing the vibration that's putting you there. You're creating your reality from the vibration that you're choosing. There is no end from the soul's perspective. There is only unending transformation. There is no death from the soul's perspective, only eternal life, ever evolving through boundless energetic forms. I love that. From the soul's perspective, there is no judgment, only acceptance. I'm going to stop here for a second. There is no judgment because from the soul's perspective, it's all about awareness. So you can observe somebody and not agree with what they are doing or saying or whatever that is, and not judge them, but look at them and recognize that that is their awareness, that is their experience, just like you're having your experience from your awareness, from your perception. So there is no right or wrong anything, there is only vibrational choosing. From the soul's perspective, there is no pain, only expansion of love experienced in different forms. They're referring to emotional pain here, and we're going to talk about that in Book 3 more so I'm going to let that sit for a minute. And from the soul's perspective, there is no lack, only abundance of everything. There has got to be, because there's no fear there. I don't even need to say any more about that. Okay, so from the soul's perspective, there is no doubt, there is only knowing. Because when you are in alignment, you know that all the answers that you ever wanted are in that consciousness. And it's all dependent on your awareness, right? It all comes back to awareness. From the soul's perspective, there are no mistakes. There is only vibrational choosing, which results in experience. So one thing, we can stop doing immediately is beating yourself up for, I have so many mistakes. I'm carrying all this baggage. Oh, I hate that term. I'm carrying all this baggage. I've been married 2 times, 3 times, 5 times. Nobody's going to want me. It's a ridiculous statement because the human experience is sign a piece of paper and it says you're something. And the soul's perspective is come together and create together. And when you are expanding either together or apart, experience what you are choosing. Experience what you're choosing. This is how you evolve. This is how you evolve, by your own experience and by choosing either the same thing, the same vibration because you like the experience, or choosing something different. It is that simple. From the soul's perspective, there is no sickness, only well-being. Sickness is created from an out-of-alignment position. Out-of-alignment position. Your body is a manifestation of your vibration like everything else. Your body, your physical body, is a physical manifestation that is part of your physical reality that you are creating in every moment, which is why, if you ever read Anita Moorjani's book, Dying to Be Me, fabulous, by the way, it's a fabulous, fabulous read, all about fear and about her experience. And she talks about this, I'm not going to tell you, she had cancer, I'll say that, and the experience she had taught her, no uncertain terms, that fear was the cause of all of it. So I would recommend that book so highly. It was so fabulous. It really changed my perspective a lot about a lot of things. Okay, so from the soul's perspective, life is a series of vibrational experiences of differently created realities. We draw the situation to us through our vibrational asking to the attraction-based universe. Then we create and choose an experience by choosing to see the situation in a way that will result in the experiencing of the emotion we are looking for. It is always choosing to experience things from the premise of love. So every time we choose a thought, we want it to be a thought based in love. We don't want to have this chaos, and we're creating it. So the good news is we don't have to create it anymore. There is so much choice. This is a choice-based universe, and we are choice-based beings. Say that 3 times fast. Jeez. Okay, from the soul's perspective, all souls are equally worthy parts of God. There is never a missing piece. All are accounted for and are loved unconditionally. When I was first getting to know Josef, they said, I was a bit intimidated, as you can imagine, and they were trying to talk me out of that, and I just couldn't get the perspective. And they said, Cindy, you are an aspect of us, this is true, and we are an aspect of you, and we are both equally important to this soul journey. Then they showed me a big puzzle. You know, the puzzle is a great analogy for just about anything. But they said, if you are this tiny little corner piece and we're in the middle, it doesn't matter which one is missing because one is missing. And the puzzle isn't complete without either one. And so they started telling me that. And I still kind of have issues with that whole thing because they know so much, you know. They're so smart. And every time I say that, and they just said now, we are smart. We all are smart. We are smart. We are a collective group of smart. And yes, that includes us, the human aspects. They're so fun. Okay, so from the soul's perspective, there are no contradictions at all. There's no bumping against anything. It's all smooth sailing. All earthly purpose is for the expansion of love from the soul's perspective, experienced in evolving depth and in limitless ways. Limitless ways. We can choose it all. From the soul's perspective, when one soul expands in love, the entire universe expands with it. This is our purpose. So when little Cindy sitting over here, my little human aspect, well, they don't like that. They're shaking their fingers saying, no, don't say that. It's not a little human aspect because we are our vibration. You know, we are seen from their perspective as consciousness, and we're as huge as they are, as we assume they are. But they, our whole, every time I expand, they expand. And when they expand, the universe expands. So we're all connected. We are all connected through our soul. That's how we're all part of God. So from the soul's perspective, it sees through the eyes of God. It is God, and in turn, it is the essence of you. That being said, the soul of you, the peace of God that lives within you, has no earthly time limit. The experience never dies, as it were, but merely and naturally transforms into a different one. That's it. We are multidimensional beings, and our time frame is eternity. Isn't that beautiful? I just love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's talk about the ego for a minute. For those of you who know me, as I said before, the ego has gotten a bad rap from the beginning. I never bought that whole thing. It just never felt right to me that the ego is this evil thing. In fact, I was raised Catholic, and somebody said to me about the devil. I'd never understood that devil term either. And I said, what does that mean? What is that? And they said, it's like the ego. It's like our ego. And so that set me off on a path of destruction right there. So I was taught through the Catholic religion to fear God and this character of the devil, both of whom were out to get me. You know, God was out to get me. I tried to stay under the radar, and then thank God for Josef and all these new understandings and the peace that I have lived since so many shifts. It's just been great. Individual peace. That's where it's at, boy. Okay, so I've heard the audible voice 5 times in the past 20 years, and I think it was the 3rd time when they said to me, there is no devil and there is no hell. And for those of you who have heard the audible voice, and anybody can hear it, you just have to believe you can. Any of you who have heard it, you know that when you hear that voice, There is no mistaking it, and no one can say, oh, that's not what you heard. You just walk away because you know what you heard. So when they said that to me, it resonated immediately, and I felt immediate relief. The same relief I felt when they said the ego is an aspect of us, Cindy. The ego is an aspect of love. It's an aspect of you and of us, which means that the ego too was conjured in love and created from love, so it has a loving purpose. And the ego's purpose here on earth with us is to accompany us, right? We talked before about the soul doesn't mess around in this fear, and it doesn't create from fear. But we come here to choose love. We come here to choose expansion out of fear. So, but when we come here, we come from the place of love, right? So the ego, all too familiar with the fear contrast, hangs out with us, and the ego indicates to us through negative emotion when we are choosing thoughts that are out of alignment. I'm going to say that again. When we, the human aspect, are choosing thoughts that are out of alignment with our soul, the ego starts indicating to us through negative emotion that we are off path, that we are on the path to creating a manifestation that is out of alignment if we continue along that thought-choosing path. And the more we choose, the ego nudges us more, and then starts to show us the manifestations that we're creating. So the ego is our friend. The ego is telling us through negative emotion, don't go down that road. Get back in alignment. And as soon as you get back in alignment, we're all cool. That's what the ego is. So here's another analogy that the soul, that Josef gave me. Where all of a sudden I see this visual. This is in a cool meditation. I see this visual, and I'm sitting on this riverbank, and it was beautiful, flat riverbank, and it was just gorgeous, like Montana or something, it was just really pretty. And I look to my right, and there's Josef sitting there, and I look to my left, and there's my ego. Now, of course, I don't see people, right? I'm feeling the energy, and I know who they are because I can feel Josef's energy, of course. So I know who they are. And the three of us are kind of sitting there. And I look at the river, and in the river, there are these big white balls and big red balls. And there's tons of them. I mean, the river is wide, and it's just packed up, and these balls are just flowing and jumping up and down and riding waves and all this stuff. And I looked at Josef, and they said, those balls represent all the thoughts that are available to you at any given time. And let's say the white balls are the balls that are thoughts of love and thoughts from love. The red balls are thoughts that are out of alignment. They are thoughts from the fearful vibration. So I'm sitting there, and Josef says, start choosing some thoughts, right? So I pick up a pretty red ball because it was so pretty, iridescent, it was so pretty. And my ego nudges me a little bit, and I'm holding the thought, and he said, don't focus on that yet. See how that feels. And I said, okay. And I start feeling this fearful vibration. And I looked at my ego, and the ego said, that's me. Now throw that back and pick a white one. So I threw it back, and I picked up a white one. And I looked at my soul. I just automatically looked in the direction of the loving thought. And the soul, so Josef holds up, gives me a high five, and says, yes, that is a thought that's in alignment. And boy, did that feel good. So now they've given me this visual process to decipher my thoughts very quickly. So the ego becomes our friend in this scenario. And the ego will not allow us, well, that's not true. Nobody has power over us, I'm sorry. But the ego will provide the negative emotion to go with the out of alignment thoughts that we're choosing. And through that negative emotion, that is our indication that we are out of alignment. And we are creating from a space of out of alignment. And we all know what that means. It's not pretty. Is not pretty. Anyway, Become friends with your ego, guys. Pay attention to its indications of the negative emotion and heed the warning signs. And you will soon discover how much easier it is to stay in alignment with the soul's perspective of every thought you choose. It's a fabulous teaching, and it'll just shift your way of thinking about how and what you're creating. It's a shift in the physical life experience for sure. Just this little shift. Okay, so now you have our understanding of the ego. Now think about the current, I say current, it's a teaching of the ego that is evil, and the ego is putting thoughts in your mind, and the ego wants you to fail and all this stuff. It's just not true. That does not feel good. That doesn't feel good. And the universe would never give us there is no aspect of the universe that doesn't feel good. I'll say that, okay? That doesn't feel good. Now, I can hear somebody asking a question out there saying, well, the third dimension is part of the universe. And you say, yes. And it was created by the human aspect. In fear, it was created by choice. Okay, so that means we can move beyond it by choice as well. Well, that's going to do it for the first segment of Book 1 of the Allow Your Soul to Lead series. This was really fun. I'm excited. And let me mention this. Hopefully, and I know some of you out there are doing this, if you were taking notes during this and you have questions, off to your side or whatever, email me at the info@theteachingsofjoseph.com, info@theteachingsofjoseph.com. Sorry, I stuttered a minute there. And I am going to do a video podcast at the end of this first book series, and I'm going to answer all the questions for you guys. It's going to be like a round table, and I might even have some people on. I don't know. But anyway, so email us your questions, and as we go through the teaching of this series, by the time we get done with the 4 books, each book at a time, you'll have so much clarity around this teaching, and it'll give you a great foundation to begin creating the new you. Very exciting. So check us out at theteachingsofjoseph.com and follow us on Instagram at The Teachings of Joseph. We love their quotes, right? So I get these fabulous quotes on almost a daily basis, and as soon as I get them, that's where they go. And they are posted on our website too. Way down at the bottom, you can see all of them. So anyway, you guys, love you guys. So much fun doing this. Thanks for following, and we will talk to you soon. This is going to be fun. Segment 2 of Book 1 is up next. Take it easy.